this? Incredible! This is
The Grove Podcast.
Hello, before we get on with the main pod, just wanted to say that there's going to be a pod within a pod in today's episode of the Grove Podcast. I sat down with a friend of mine, Andy Younousis, who's a Sunderland fan, and we had a chat about the game from a Sunderland perspective that's coming up this weekend. So it's in about an hour's time, and we sit down. It's about 30 minutes long, and then after that we back to myself and Jamie talking about Sunderland very briefly. So up to you how you want to approach this, but listen to me and Jamie talking about Prague, then there's me and Andy talking about the Sunderland game, and then we finish off very quickly, myself and Jamie talking about Sunderland again. So yeah, you can split it up as you like. So thank you for being here, and enjoy the show. Hello, my name is Tabs, and welcome to episode 135 of the Grove Podcast. Now, I hope you're doing very, very well, and well, I must admit I'm struggling to find something different to say for these intros, as it's another day, another Arsenal win, another clean sheet. But there you go, not a bad problem to have, and let's get on with things. Anyway, so joining me to look back at last night's game, which may be problematical, given the conversation we've just had, and given his 3-word review was did not see, is Jamie. Jamie, how are you, and what's your excuse?
I thought that was a good Arsene Wenger reference as well. I really needed a fourth word to be able to put in the it, to be honest.
Very good, very good.
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you. Unfortunately, the time of kickoff caught me out, and I was around King's Cross having to meet some folks. But whilst I was there, weirdly, got to see the Champions League. That was nice, at least. The actual cup was
okay.
Was at King's Cross. Yeah, Bet365 were doing some event and giving away tickets and stuff. I was half tempted to queue, but it started pissing it down just before I had the opportunity to do so. But they did have the European Cup, and I went and had a little peek at it.
Very nice. And you said you saw someone win tickets to the final.
Yeah. Somebody won some tickets to the final. I think there was 6 tickets to the final going, and there was a bunch of pairs of tickets for other Champions League games. I don't know exactly how it worked, but to be honest, it looked like it was worth queuing up for 5 minutes to do. But I just
and how did the guy?
It was one of those. I was caught in that general London inertia of just like, shit goes on all the time. Walk past, You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
But yeah, it was good.
But and what did the guy have to do to win tickets for the final?
Some kind of betting. I think basically because they had it was quite an expensive operation. It seemed like, big old banners and all sorts of stuff. And from what I could make out, they were basically asking them a series of questions. I think it was 3 or 4 questions, and it was a bit like a higher or lower type thing. What's the Bruce?
Yeah, the Price is Right. No, the Price is Right.
No, it's the card.
Play your cards right. Play your cards right.
Play your card right. So it's a little bit like, I think effectively out of the 2 options, they pick which one was the higher percentage of chance. And I'm assuming because it's Bet365 that this was based on their mechanisms for working out the odds of something, basically. So, for instance, one of the questions was, is it more likely that Erling Haaland scores a header tonight or tomorrow, or that Mohamed Kudus scores at any time?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Okay, that's...
I'll ask you now, what do you think had the higher probability?
Haaland. It's got to be Haaland.
So I got this one right, by the way, but Erling Haaland to score a header at any time, or Mohamed Kudus to score at any time?
I'd say Erling Haaland still. Yeah.
It's Kudus.
Oh, really?
Because it's specifically a header. How many headed goals do you actually see Erling Haaland?
I don't know, but it's Kudus. So, and it's Tottenham. So.
All right. Well, I would venture to say that probably Mohamed Kudus has scored more more goals in general than Erling Haaland scored headers. Okay. Anyway, so that was the sort of thing that was done. And there was a question that I think there was one about Arsenal and Slavia Prague at one point as well, but I can't remember what that was.
Oh, fair enough. Good luck to that chap. So anyway, that's the sort of chat you'll be having today because I did watch the game. I was a bit distracted with work and my son calling me up about an overpayment issue with his Saturday job. ChatGPT, what are the legal ramifications of this? And I've told it, and I've told him the good news that all that money you thought you had in your bank account, it's not yours. So if there are any employment lawyers that listen, please get in touch.
Have you given him the stay stum? Don't say a bloody word about it and just carry on.
No,
Don't spend it yet.
I gave him the output of my ChatGPT query. There we go.
Shit, man. Parenting must be a piece of piss these days, right?
Just ask ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, tell him about the birds and the bees.
Exactly. Well, and he always rings up going, "Oh God, something's really bad happened at work," and it's a lifeguarding job that he's had for a couple of years. And I think, "Oh my God, did you do something inappropriate? Did someone complain about how you treated them as you're rescuing them?" "I don't know. I've just been paid more money than I should have been." "Oh, for God's sake!" There you go. Anyway. That's not what we're going to be talking about. We are trying to talk about the 3-0. It was 3-0, wasn't it? 3-0 win against Slavia Prague on Tuesday night. We'll have your listener follower reviews.
I sort of Tuesday late afternoon is the big problem.
Yeah, early evening, shall we say? But
I suppose it's night. It was night in Prague, right?
Exactly.
And I was actually thinking about this earlier on. It was a shower thought for me today, where I was like, it's annoying as hell when we have these 5:45s and stuff. Like, where's that come from? Why can't we go back to the old days where we just had like Saturday 3:00, a little bit of Sunday action, and some proper 7:30, 7:45 Champions League kickoffs? You know, some proper night games. And then I'm thinking, shit. Actually, in fairness, it's in Eastern Europe.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't. I'm really being quite
your London-centric view of the world. Yeah. Come on. There we go. But anyway, so yes, the early evening kickoff, shall we say, against Slavia Prague, where we did win 3-0. I've just checked the score, and we'll have your follower, listener, 3-word reviews, and then we'll finish with a preview of Saturday's clash against Granit Xhaka Sunderland, where I'll also be inserting a chat where I have with my Sunderland supporting friend Andy and getting his thoughts on the game.
I thought you were going to say ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. Don't let him into the secret. Come on. Shh. Actually, give it. Yeah, I'm surprised you did.
ChatGPT. What do you think about Granit Xhaka at Sunderland?
I said, well, his current performances for Arsenal. Yeah, ChatGPT is actually quite bad for some of this stuff. So it's getting better, but yeah, it's not great. When I look up Arsenal sort of stuff, and it still refers to Aubameyang, and then I thought, oh, we got a problem here. But there we go. Anyway, if you want to hear more of this sort of stuff, or you want other people to hear more of this sort of chat, then please leave us a 5-star rating, a comment, follow, subscribe on your usual podcast apps, on the socials at the Grove ASC. It's really appreciated, and other people can enjoy Jamie and mine and dulcet tones. So anyway, let's see what we can do, and let's get on with things. So, from what you've seen and what you've heard, what was your highlight and lowlight of yesterday's game?
So of the 5 or 6 highlights that I watched, I think my low light was probably the question mark over Benny White, over Benny White's penalty, because that's literally the worst thing I saw of the old game. Yeah. And the highlight is just Mikel Merino is back again, isn't he? Just fits back in seamlessly. To be honest, didn't even watch enough of the game to establish that he was definitely playing 9 within it. But he's back there. He scores 2 goals immediately, and he just looks like a centre forward in the 6 highlights that I saw.
Okay, let's kick this off, because I've got a few highlights, lowlights, and but also various topics. But you've mentioned Merino, and we can talk generically about him, and also talk about how he played last night. You're right. He scored 2 goals. They were like very good striker goals. And look, you put him in the box, header, and a chance to strike. He's as good a finisher as we've got in the club.
Yeah, I think he's better at that specifically than Gyökeres or Havertz, personally. Yes. Like, I actually think he's better than either of them. And I think he might be one of the most deadliest penalty box strikers in the Premier League.
Give him half a chance. You know, yeah, I mean,
his movement is always what he needs a bit of help with. Right?
But even then, his movement in the box is fine. And look, the goal he scored against Newcastle, that equaliser, that header, that is not bloody easy. That's a fantastic finish. It's so the final third, I think he's fine. You know, his one touch, his pass, and his sort of movement, I would say, in the final third. It's funny when they call him a defensive midfielder, that's where he's most probably at his worst, because they think he's more vulnerable there. And in the middle, he's not a on the ball progressor. Yeah, you know, again, he's good at passing around corners, one touch, flick, move. You see him. He's always very good at a sort of back to goal, even though he's on the halfway line, but he'll do a one-time pass, release someone, but then he doesn't have the pace to carry on with it. And I think and in Europe it's different. I think maybe there's more room. I think he's definitely better in Europe, and you see it for playing for Spain, and he's really excelled for Arsenal in Europe. You put him in the Premier League, I think he needs runners around him. He needs someone like a Martinelli or a Madueke who's going to make the runs, who's going to stretch the defence, because that's not what he does. He did what Merino did. Merino things yesterday. He comes short, lays it off, but he's not going to run the channels, and that's the problem with him. And I would say less so in Europe, more so in the Premier League, and that's why it's going to be a bit of a challenge come against Sunderland, given the state of our squad. But we'll touch on that later. But yeah, I had the question here: is he a good striker? And I guess it depends on how you define striker.
I think, well, I mean, he's not a complete forward, right? In any way, shape, or form. He's very far away from being a complete forward. But do you know what he probably is, actually? He's probably the striker that waited till he was about 28 or 29 to be picked up by a top flight club back in the day, which is not Ian Wright. Ian Wright was more than that, and also, too much is made of that because Palace were actually a bit higher at the time. But anyway, he's that sort of player. Do you know what I mean? The kind of thing that you last saw really in the 90s that you used to get a lot of in 70s and 80s or whatever. The fella who was a bit of a journeyman, scored a lot of goals in those leagues, came up and had a purple patch for a season or two. And there's whether it be someone that bled into the noughties, a Marcus Stewart, for instance, but fellas that didn't necessarily have an all-round game, that used to get away with it a lot more in the Championship and the more direct leagues, and would suit certain styles of play. And he's like that to me. Very good finisher. Physically, I in certain matchups, the physicality that he shows in that position, I just absolutely adore. He's very, very good in the air, and he just does all of those things that if you've got a good team around him that can provide him with lots of service, he would excel in probably the odd Tony Pulis team as well.
It's ironic.
if you can get the service, but in order to do it, you have to carry a lot of aspects of his game, because other things aren't instinctual, or he doesn't have the athleticism. No. He has the physicality, but he doesn't have the athleticism. And that combination of things means that he's a very good auxiliary. Of course, I don't want him to be there permanently, and I don't see him as being a starting top class centre forward. But hell, he is a hell of a player to be able to stick there when you need. Because when the game state suits him, he is very, very good. And I actually would say that sort of is the case from in midfield as well. I don't think he's not a man for all seasons in general. He has sort of quite a specific use case, and sometimes that's very different. It's the dual winner away at Liverpool and City and what have you as well. But I just love the geezer, and he seems quite he seems quite popular around the place, and I think people appreciate
nice happy guy.
He does a lot of dirty work.
Yeah, nice happy guy. Yeah, look, I don't think he's ever going to get the recognition like your big name stars and all the rest of it, but I think we all appreciate his value to the squad. And look, right, without Gyökeres, without Havertz, he comes in, bangs in 2 goals. Fantastic. We don't want that permanent, but yeah, he comes in and I think he does more than a job. And, Arteta said on using him as a striker, my view as always, he had a really good timing, a capacity to finish in the box, especially one touch. And then talking to him and making sure that he plays close to the box and he identifies the opportunities, the timing, the way he needs to attack the space in relation to how they defend the box, which today was a bit different as well, the way they set up. And then obviously his quality, his willingness to learn and practice every day. So look, is the sort of player Arteta loves, puts the effort in, but's got high skill levels and will sacrifice himself for the team type stuff, which is testament to who we are at the moment. So pretty good highlight, that one. For me, I'll quickly do my lowlights and then we'll get the highlights to sort of do some discussion. So, on that point about the Ben White penalty, I mean, the referee had a bit of a bizarre performance. There were some good bits and he seemed to, okay, no, that was actually spot on. And there were some weird moments where Nordgaard got fouled twice and then gave Nordgaard a yellow card, which didn't make sense. And he looked like he could have got manipulated by the big guys from Slavia Prague, in terms of influenced by them. But no, it was an odd game. It was very yellow card happy, which comes onto one of my highlights. But bit odd performance. And then the commentary. There was a moment, you wouldn't have seen this, but people watching live, the commentary had an echo. And then they stopped having the commentary and it was just the crowd noise and everyone was going, and everyone on the side, this is great. this is great. So then TNT Sport did the worst thing they could do. No, they went to the studio and they had the people from the studio talking over the game as it was playing. And it was sort of like, it was even worse. I'd rather have the echo. So that started to spoil it. And it was a really weird experience because you're sort of watching the game and it feels like they're analysing a game that's already happened, but it's actually happening live. And it was sort of like, Owen Hargreaves and co. And it was a bit weird. And then
makes you appreciate a proper commentator when there are, right?
Yeah, but also just why not just not have? You don't have to fill the space with noise. Just let it. Let's watch it. And then the jokey sort of low light was they had a shot at target in the 92nd minute or something like that. So that's only I think our second shot on target in the last 5 games that we've given away, and everyone was sort of like, and this is the thing, like with the penalty. I guess you weren't there real time. I think everyone was more animated about the penalty than any of our goals. And I'm talking about the penalty that we gave away because we're so, I'd say, how caught up are you in this not giving away a shot on target, not giving away a goal at the moment, because everyone vested. How vested are you in that? Because I said, I'm sure looking at the socials, there was more commentary about that than there was about any of the 3 goals.
I mean, it's a little bit fun, but I'm not saying that I'm particularly invested or like keeping up with every bit of it, to be honest. I mean, nice to keep another clean sheet, but Christ on a bite, are people getting ethical about this?
I think it's joking, but it's sort of like, again, knowing it's like shot watch. I think someone was calling it like, is there going to be a shot? Oh no, we've let a shot on target. Damn. It becomes like a sort of a bit of a joke. And like Owen Hargreaves says, it's like, he said, we're literally on shot watch. There's a force field around the Arsenal goal. And that sort of brings me to one of my highlights is that, again, another clean sheet. That's 12 hours and 56 minutes without conceding. That's 8 in a row, the longest run since 1903. It's just nuts. It doesn't matter who we put out there. We're still not conceding. The mentality around conceding is still the same. There was one challenge towards the end. Gabriel sort of like, we're winning 3-0 and blocks a player on the penalty spot. I just think it's just insane. It's the sort of like, I try not to get too carried away with it. And I think, as I said on the last pod, how did you sort of the teams are half beaten before they turn up and play us, because how are you going to score against us?
Yeah, 100%. But that's long been a part of great teams, hasn't it? That fear factor and that intimidation before you even step out on the pitch, the reputation, getting teams to play the badge is a good thing.
Yeah. And sort of, a few stats out of that. David Raya is the fastest goalkeeper to reach 50 clean sheets in Arsenal's history in 110 starts, taking the record away. And I don't think even you would know this one. Jimmy Ashcroft, who had held it since 1903. Raya's
never heard.
Yeah, exactly. And Raya is also the first Arsenal keeper to keep a clean sheet in 7 consecutive starts across all competitions since David Seaman, April to August 2002.
I mean, there is no debate for me at the moment. He's the absolute Don Mondelanouche and one of the best. We've had
is he? Because he's not been tested. This is the thing. We don't know how good he is. I think I said on the other day he could work from home because he's not. When was the last time he had to use his hands?
I mean, this admittedly this season, but part of that is also just the calm. Yeah. It's so. Do not underestimate how hard it is to play goalkeeper when you're actually not seeing much of the ball. It's something you hear from a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a really, really difficult thing. The concentration levels, the ability to be able to constantly be on your feet for that amount of time and or on your toes, I should say. And then the way that he sweeps up. Yeah. As a part of our defence, David Raya is incredible as well. He's got that athleticism and the bottle to commit and see it through. And you only have to look at how the position was being played by the previous incumbent, by Aaron Ramsdale, when... admittedly, the defence has improved further since then. It is, but it's not like a meteoric change.
No.
The fundamentals were all there. And on the other hand, every 3 games, there was something that Rammers was either at fault or was could have been a bit better. Yeah. And you just never feel that.
Wasn't the calmness,
for me, at least, anyway. I never, ever, ever feel that with David Raya.
Yeah. There's an assurance there. There's a calmness there, and it doesn't seem. Yeah, he's unflappable as they say. So, I think my primary highlight, though, and I think this was a concern before the game, was actually Rice not getting a yellow card, because had he picked one up, he would have missed the buying game. And given how the referee was dishing them out, he gave us 4 yellows and gave them 3 yellows, even though they had twice the amount of fouls as us. But then I sort of looked into it, and there's a reason why he didn't pick up a yellow. And so I looked into his defensive stats. Tackles, 0. Blocks, 0. Interceptions, 0. Recoveries, 0. Aerial duels, 0 out of 0. Was fouled, 0. Fouls committed, 0. He did not want to lay a finger on anyone who was holding the ball for Slavia Prague. That's how you avoid getting a yellow. It's fantastic. Well done, Declan. And he still played fantastically yesterday. But yeah, I was really surprised about that. I was like, brilliant stats, and well done, Declan. That's how you avoid it. And then here's another highlight for you that I think you would have appreciated, because I know how you like your the academy players. So we had Dowman coming on, first ever 15-year-old, youngest ever player to play in the Champions League at 15 years and 308 days, and then Haramun Anous also came on as well. So that's I think that's sort of, again, incredible for Arteta used to get slated for not caring about youth and not developing youth. Well, here we go. So I'm sure you were chuffed to see those two get minutes.
Absolutely. Dowman is obviously great fun to watch. I enjoyed watching him in the other midweek, whatever that was recently, that I've completely forgotten.
Brighton,
that was it. And Haramun Anous as well, who had a good game then. So yeah, it's lovely to see. You want to see these guys get a bit of a run out, don't you? I used to love it was the 6th game in the Champions League, right? And again, I was thinking about this earlier as well, the fact that it's a bit funny, actually. I'm sort of, I really didn't mind missing last night, to be honest, because it felt a bit perfunctory. And that's sort of interesting, because I was kind of thinking about taking a match for granted, and the fact that, it's a hell of a thing to say about this team that I'm taking a match for granted, really, because a few years back, I wasn't even taking Europa League games for granted. We were sitting there waiting for Pepe to whack in a last-minute goal via free kick against, a team of Greek waiters. Yeah. It was very dismissive, wasn't it? But, that's a reference to the Tuesday Club, if anyone listens to it.
We get the point.
But anyway, and now we've got to this point where a visit to Slavia Prague feels quite perfunctory. And actually, it never really even felt that way for very long under Wenger in the years and years and years in the Champions League. Really only, when I think back to 98, 99 and 99, 00, and taking on in the group stages the likes of Dynamo Kiev, for instance, they were big games. They felt like they were, it was a real match, and it didn't fit. It didn't feel like a given that we were going to qualify year after year. It was only really once we hit about 2001, 2002. It was that classic age for about 3-4 years where we just absolutely did it at canter. And then we did keep qualifying. We did every year. It was legendary. We kept getting past the group stage. We kept going nowhere after that for a fair old while after the final visit. But it never felt quite so relaxed, I don't think, as I feel at the moment about this setup. And it might be that there's the whole, playing 8 games.
Yeah.
That I just feel like, there's so many matches, you're just going to get to the end of it and have enough points. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the format as well. And I quite enjoy the format and I enjoy the games, but I am genuinely very, very, very super relaxed in general about the whole thing. I've just taken it as granted. We will be in the next round and we'll have a decent seeding.
Well, yeah. I mean, finishing top 8. Well, it's all about finishing top 8. And I think what was important about this game is, yes, you're right. It could be easy to take it for granted, but we still had to win it, because what you don't want to do is wait. We go to Inter on the 20th of January, 20th of January, and we don't want that to be a meaningful game, because January is always busy season. You've got the FA Cup. We might be in a semi-final of the Carabao Cup. And you want to avoid those two extra games to get you into the sort of round of 16 or anything like that. So I still think it's important, but I think you're right, and that certainly was reflected in the team that he put out there in terms of there was no Zubamendi because his suspension, no Gyökeres because of injury, but also like he. So Merino plays up front. You could easily play Trossard up front. And put Merino midfield, and he chose to start with Winery, and Hincapié instead of say MLS or Calafiore, and then Eze was benched. So, but we still had a strong squad, strong team around them, and then obviously Norgard was playing, but that was seen to be the natural selection. So. Yeah, I think it was still think it wasn't a gimme. It wasn't like going to Brighton and you change the whole team. I don't, because I don't. Is it a cliche? There's no easy away games in Europe. I think maybe they become easier, but always the start, the first 20 minutes, a bit like yesterday, the partisan crowd, the opposition are up for it. There's a big team in town. We're going to try and they're a big physical team. They're full of runners. We're going to try and like outmuscle you and try and intimidate you, which is very hard to do against us. So I don't think it's always straightforward. You've got the travel, the pitches, or maybe a bit lumpier. Pitch is all good, but then so I don't think there is an easy game to start with. I think you make it easy, and we did make it easy. So I think you still need to respect the competition. But with that lineup, were there any surprises? Was there anything about it that you? Yeah, that's fine. About it. And I'll sort of lead you to a question here. Was it like one? I think it was a bit of a surprise. Ben White didn't start over Timber, given the amount of minutes Timber's playing and stuff like that. And two, no Kepa, another injury. And then we're sort of back to having some juniors on the pitch, and by juniors I mean Sago Junior and Haramun Anous and Dowman. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that team, that lineup?
Pretty much. I think you've mainly summed up the main thing, which was Ben White. I was quite surprised at that. That was sort of my That was probably the major one.
What did you read into that? Did you read anything into that?
No, I don't particularly. I don't think. I mean, yeah, I don't for a second think that there's a lack of trust in Ben White. I thought Ben White as well. I mean, in terms of his last opportunity to start a game, I thought he played well in the Brighton game where I last saw him for 90 minutes. Right, I thought he was pretty decent in that game, pretty calm, and actually, it was him and Eze looked like the two players who were very clearly the two senior regulars in the team, and sort of everybody else looks just a tiny step below effectively. So I would be surprised if there's any lack of faith based on any of his performances this season otherwise as well, because I think he's looked perfectly fine at any given time. And I just don't think that Mikel Arteta would lose complete trust in him. I would imagine that it's just, again, his current commitments, how he's feeling fitness-wise, where they think he's at. Maybe that is just the reason for why he didn't play the whole game, and perhaps we just know less. Did Arteta really talk about it that you saw? Is there anything in the post-game or anything where they touched on it?
He's never one for talking about individuals. You said people who deserve their spot, people need it. So nothing was said. It's just an interesting thing, because you think this is a game that you think White would start, especially because we know how good Timber is and how valuable he is to the team. It was just sort of, it just stood out a bit. Where is he in terms of his fitness? Is that a concern that he can't? Did 90 minutes the other week and he can't. Where is he on his fitness? Have his injuries impacted him? That he maybe can't be trusted to these games. We trusted to finish games, but maybe not trusted to start. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. When the games really stack up over Christmas. We've got the Chelsea, Bayern, Tottenham period after the international break. I mean, and he will be rested compared to Timber. So it'll be interesting to see where he fits into that. And it just feels like the gap between the two is getting bigger and bigger. It was like really close. It was really close, and now just the performances Timber's putting in and the uncertainty about Ben White is sort of, I don't know. It's just concerning, not yet, but let's see how this pans out. And not in a similar vein, just because of his age. Do you have any concerns for MLS game time? Because he's now become an occasional starter and sub, and now with Hincapié playing, and Hincapié was fine. He was a very up and down left back. Few good challenges and did what you'd expect Hincapié to do for a first game. So maybe this is one chance to start in your preferred position. But with that, MLS did come on. Again, concerns, or is it just, look, he's 19, he'll get his moments, he'll get his time eventually?
I think a little bit of frustration in so much as I want to see more of MLS. I think that that's almost there's a bit of a playing favourites thing there, where I want to see more MLS in the team because I really like him and I like what he does, and I think he's a fantastic footballer.
Over Calafiori, though?
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? Calafiori's been absolutely stonks. He's been brilliant. So it is interesting. I mean, to be honest, I'm as I've kind of expressed, I think on these before, I was really hoping that maybe it was a sign that we were going to. And I've never been big on the MLS as a midfielder bandwagon. MLS is what the use of the squad is, and he played plenty of left back before he played senior team, as I've stated a bunch of times. But I think certainly I would like to see him perhaps where Norgard got the start, but then Norgard wants some starts to justify the fact that he came to the Arsenal instead of playing for Brentford every week, right? It's hard. There's a lot of quality players, but I mean, I maybe would have loved to have seen a little bit of faith in him play in place of Declan Rice, even see what he can do in that position. But these are all very competitive games. Arteta wants to keep a certain standard going, and there is some kind of continuity that you want from the first teamers in there because they do play at a certain. When people are playing week in, week out, there's a pace that they bring to the team, right? There's a half a second of sharpness that they have that some of the other guys don't quite. So perhaps maybe he just felt that was the amount of change that he could accommodate, and MLS ultimately wasn't somebody that he could fit in with that because he was very desperate to get Hincapie in. And I can understand why they'd want to get Hincapie in. Take a look at him, make sure that he's the right geezer. But yeah, it's disappointing. I think that's the word I'm really reaching for. I find it disappointing that MLS isn't playing. I don't necessarily find it concerning yet because he is 19.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, this is not a usual. It's not usual for people to complain about the lack of playing time for a 19-year-old in the kind of phase of development he is. It's just because he's looked so good last season. He accelerated so quickly, and he made his senior debut for England and all that.
Yeah. Well, that's the other concern for him. And Tuchel even talked about it. Those who are playing regularly. I don't know if he said preference will be preferred, but it will have an influence and stuff. So I wonder if that's going to be back in his mind. But again, he's 19. He will have his chances in the future, but you want to take all your chances you can now. They're all very ambitious. So if you can play in a World Cup at 19, you want to be playing in that World Cup at 19, get that experience. So I'm not going to whether is it that thing about I want him to play because he's a favourite. Whatever suits the team, whatever suits the match, whatever suits the moment. That's my preference, and Arteta knows that better than me, and he knows who to play at any time, given fitness, given what he wants out of the squad, given age profiles, given whatever the development and stuff. So it's sort of it's a good problem, and I think we'll see plenty of him. And as I said, he's 19, a bit like Waneri, 18, Dowman, 15. They will get their moments, and I think they'll be better for it because again, another thing is, all these younger players that have started early. Their careers are ending earlier because they've been playing for such a young age for a long time. It may not feel like now, but this is sort of also elongating their career because again, if they're not getting stressed out at such a young age, their bodies that maybe not fully developed, as then it might help out in the future. So it may not seem now, but it might help out in the future, which is it's a hard sell for an 18-year-old who's impatient, but I think he's got good people around him, and I'm sure they'll direct him in the right way. So.
Yeah, and we've got him under contract, right? So ultimately,
at the end of the day,
the player is the player is ours. And I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at maybe the entertainer loan for him at some point. But it's hard because part of the strength of this Arsenal team at the moment is the depth, and so therefore it's difficult to loan out a player that's shown that he's got value to the first team. And it's the same for Waneri as well, right? And we're one injury away from both of them playing every game.
Exactly.
So, we're it is a difficult situation for them, but ultimately they are also learning from the best. They are being reared in a culture of winning, and they are at a club that at the moment is playing the best football of anybody in. Best football will be debated by some people in terms of what that means, but
We're
in
winning
terms
the
of
most.
in terms of performance, they are playing for the highest performing club probably in Europe right now. So why would they not be excited to be part of that, even if they have their own personal frustrations over the amount of football they're playing?
Yeah.
But it is actually quite normal for 18 and 19-year-olds to not play a great deal of football. This is not revelatory. No. This is quite normal stuff, and you have to be patient.
Yeah, I think just last year changed that viewpoint because we saw more than we should have. I say more than we should have done. More that
last season, everybody was fucking injured.
Exactly.
Everybody was. We were playing with a massively depleted squad, and it's a different situation.
We've reverted to the norm basically, and that's it. So it's no problem. So look, as for the game itself, we did dominate 57% possession to 43, 1.81 xG to 0.47. So another under 0.5 xG against. We had 14 shots to their 9, 8 on target, which is we've matched the highest we've had this season against Burnley and Atletico Madrid. We had 3 big chances, and we scored those 3 big chances. And when I was talking about fouls, they had 24 to our 12, but we got 4 yellow cards to their 3. So and then 7 corners, which I think was where. I think they were most of them were in the first half, which is when we started to put the pressure on, and the game was sort of won. So, I mean, as for the game itself, it wasn't the prettiest, it wasn't the most fluent or attractive, very stop-start as it is in Europe. Lots of fouls, offsides. But I think we were making the point before we talked about the players is that we keep finding a way to win and getting a clean sheet despite 7 injuries, 6 to forwards. We're missing Zubamendi. And as I said, going away to Slavia Prague isn't the easiest. They haven't lost at home since December 24. So I don't take it for granted. And the fact that we can go there with such a changed team, and as I said, they came out, they tried for 20 minutes, they tried to rattle us. They were very physical, they ran hard, but ultimately their physicality dropped off. We got a grip on the game, and our quality told, and we ran out comfortable winners. And actually, during that time, their lack of quality showed up. There was misplaced passes, just their technical ability on the ball. So I'm not going to get excited about the game. What we should get excited about is the fact that we can just find another way to win with another bunch of players who haven't played before, with youngsters in there, with a mixture in there, missing our sort of some, again, 6 forwards. So I think that's good. And on the physical side of things, according to them, I heard this yesterday. So their forward, it's phonetically, I think it's Churi, but I don't think it's pronounced like that. But they're 6'6" centre forward. He's just come back from a 6-match domestic ban for punching an opposition goalkeeper. Have you read the notes?
No.
Well, guess where he punched.
I've read some notes. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, guess where he punched the goalkeeper to get a 6-match ban.
Where?
In the nuts.
Oh, not in the nuts, of course.
I like
fair play. I mean, I love a 6'6" fella playing for Slavia Prague, because it just makes me. It's like a long lineage of the. Well, I mean, actually, not for Slavia Prague, but for Czech teams.
Was it Kola, Jan Kola? Who's the?
Yeah, there was Jan Kola and Vratislav Lokvench, and they were both played at the same time, and they were both. One of them played for Leverkusen, and the other one played for Kaiserslautern, was it? I think, and then for Dortmund, or maybe Bayern. I can't remember which one, but either way, they both played in Germany. They're both bloody huge, and even though I will admit this 6'7" fella didn't really show up a great deal in the highlights to me, I'm curious about him, and I kind of just want to go and watch and see if he's a bit like a throwback to a bygone.
He's a lump, he's just lump out forward, and he's just a big unit up front, really, not a great touch, and I'm sure he's
don't see enough. Doesn't have a good touch for a big man.
No, he doesn't. No. So he doesn't, and
he's no John Arts.
No, exactly. So look, as I said, it wasn't the best of games, but we found a way to win, and we did miss players. I think the challenge we found, like missing Zubamendi and putting Nordgaard in, you're missing one extra decent passer, decent ball progressor there. Nwaneri still finding his feet in that attacking midfielder role, and so on. So that's where
he needs to show. My kind of main thing with him against Brighton, first half at least anyway, he didn't show for the ball anywhere near enough. What was he like with this? Feels like he's moving into that position where you would expect to see, obviously we've got Odegaard normally and then we've got Eze at other times. And Eze himself is a little bit more ephemeral than you'd necessarily get with Odegaard. And will kind of drift in and out a little bit more, but still he shows the ball, he's there and he does a lot of tidy stuff. I think Nwaneri sort of looks like he only really wants to get the ball and run at somebody, and he doesn't necessarily show for it in those build-up phases as much as I want him to. How was he yesterday?
It was okay. Again, he didn't pull up any trees as they say, and again, it's who you're comparing him to as well. So again, you get Odegaard comes deep. He lends the ball to players and gets about pass. Little touch, it lends the ball, blah blah blah. And he's a very different player. Nwaneri, you're right, he's a runner with the ball. He tries to drive with the ball forward, which we like, because actually that's sometimes we maybe pass around too much and we don't have that forward drive. And I think just with him, he's 18. It's just that consistency. We saw him out on the wing, and that's where Arsenal players have traditionally sort of in the mould have developed, like they did under Wenger. He now seems to want to play more in the middle of the park. But that's a much harder thing to do. That's much more involved. And so I think you're watching him learn on the job, so there will be bright spots. He wants to try and get a shot off. He wants to try and do things. And in that midfielder role, it's half as much as what you do off the ball you do on it. And a bit like Eze recently, he's a bit missing off the ball work. Trying to find him can be quite hard because he's not really sure where to stand in relation to other players and where to receive it. He seems a bit hiding behind players. That's Eze. So again, it's what he does off the ball, and I don't mean in a defensive point of view, because I think he's doing that more. He's understanding that role. It's where to receive it, give and go, how to move with your fellow midfielders, how to be part of that midfielder rather than when you're on the wing, you can be a bit of a solo artist, and in the number 10 role that you're sort of playing, you've got a bit of license there, but I think you have to be more in a combination player. As well, and I think he's just learning to pick that up. Yeah, that's what
I think the Eze comparison is an interesting one as well, from the perspective that there's despite the fact there's like 9 years of development between the two of them. The comparison that I would make specifically within that, and I've only just thought of it now, really, is that Eze has come to the Arsenal. Probably his off the ball work needs a little bit more refining, in part because. And again, it's showing for the ball, being demanding, being influential, in part because he's come to us from a place where he was the best player on the pitch. So as a result, players looked for him. Everybody, head goes up at Palace. Who's your number one option if they're in a decent position? It's Eze, and you get the ball. And very similarly as well, Nwaneri, in age group after age group after age group, has been the most influential, best player on the pitch. And again, everybody would look to him, right? Who do you want to get the ball to? You want to get it to Nwaneri. And I sort of wonder if that's the difficult spot for both of them, and the learning for both of them now is that there's now you do need to earn that. You need to pick up the positions where you earn the right to have the ball. You're not just going to get it given to you constantly. People aren't going to go out the way to give it to you when you're not in a good enough position, because you're no longer the player who's head and shoulders above everybody else in the team, at least in terms of what you can do with the ball at feet. I'm not suggesting for a moment that Palace aren't full of talent.
No. But
you're at another level. He is the playmaker, right? Eze was the playmaker. Nwaneri was the playmaker. At the Arsenal, that is going to be different in the senior Arsenal team at this moment in time, because there's a lot of players who can do a lot of damage with the football, and there are systems to adhere to and what have you. So that's something that's kind of wearing away in my head a little bit as well. That maybe there's a bit of a cultural change there for them as well that they're going to have to adjust to.
No, indeed, and so as we sort of. We go through the key moments? To be honest, there were only really 3 key moments, 3 or 4. We've talked about the Ben White non-penalty, which was definitely not a penalty, and well done VAR and the ref for sorting that out. But so we get our own penalty. it comes from a Saka corner. Gabriel flicked the header on, and sort of defender goes up, but he sort of has his hand up there as well. I think watching it real time, we didn't really see. I think everyone was claiming, "Oh, that's our corner," and that was it. Move on, and it's like that funny moment, like where everyone stops. Oh, there's a penalty check. Really? I didn't notice anything. Did you think it was? I mean, obviously you saw it in the replay. Did you think it's a penalty, or is it a very EU?
I mean, it's going goal bound, isn't it? So I think that's even if it's not potentially going to go in, if it's going goal bound and your arms up where it was like that, then it's for me. Yeah, and as you know, I'm not a soft.
No, well, that's what I was going to say. That was particularly interested. Yeah,
but for me, certainly, I would say that if even if it's a complete and utter accident, unfortunately, if it's going goal bound, it's got to be a pen.
Yeah.
That's
just and it wasn't in a natural position. His arm was sort of, I couldn't work it out why his arm was there. I don't think he was intentionally doing it to block the ball.
He sort of looked as he was jumping like if you'd taken a freeze frame of it and then just turned it by 90 degrees, you've just got a bloke who's lying down basically, haven't you, on a beach snap. It was really strange because it was even his head and everything. It was like he was squashed up at a right angle. So it was for me that was a pretty clear pen, even if from their perspective you can feel like that's it's a hard look one, right?
In Europe, we know the threshold is a lot lower for handball. We got done last year against Inter, even worse. So yeah, as soon as we said, and look, the referee, I think he only took one look at a replay, said, yeah, that's a pen. It wasn't like there for 10 minutes. It was like, wow, that was quick. They didn't even have, it was, he decided it so quick that they didn't have a chance to show the second replay of the incident because he'd already seen it and decided. So then look, up to,
I think that's given on Saturday in the Premier League as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
I genuinely do. I just think specifically the fact that it's happened off the back of a goal bound header.
Fair enough.
The player's gone up. He's fairly challenged for it. He's got his head to it, and for me, that's just your hand has interfered with that getting itself on target. Now, I don't think it was going to go in. I think it would have been stopped, or somebody else would have headed it en route. But nonetheless, it's the same as a thumping strike that's going goal bound as well. For me, unfortunately, it's
unfortunately or fortunate for us, and again,
unless it takes a deflection beforehand or whatever, that's very different.
Well, this is the thing. He said it hit his head before it hit the hand, but I don't think you have that same rule in Europe as much. So no, I don't know. Anyway,
that's interesting. I didn't actually.
I think it.
I didn't actually.
I didn't. Again, we didn't see the replays enough. They didn't like like you see the VAR replay again and again and again. He just saw it once, said that's a penalty. So we didn't have that 10 minutes of like angst sort of thing. But anyway. It went in our favour for a change. And again, is this our season? Are these things falling our way, which weren't falling our way last season? It could be another sign of that, or reading too much into it. And then Saka steps up and, thumps it into the right-hand corner. Keeper went the right way, but no chance. And, top-class penalty by Saka. So he's racking up the stats now. So he's... So 4 goals. So Bukayo Saka is the first Arsenal player to score in 4 consecutive away appearances in the Champions League. I didn't realise that. He's now only 3 players have scored more European goals than Saka, which is Walcott, Van Persie, and Henry. So Saka's on 17, Walcott 18, Van Persie 18, and Henry 42. He's had 18 goal involvements in 20 Champions League appearances, which is nuts. That's 12 goals and 6 assists. So that's practically you're thinking 0.9 GA per game for Saka in the Champions League, which is incredible. And now he's scored as many Champions League goals as your favourite Olivier Giroud on 12. So he's making his way up the charts on in Europe. So.
But how many of them have been scorpion kicks?
Exactly. And how many penalties? Okay, then on to the second half, which was the Merino show. It was like 2 goals by Merino. So I think the first one, he made that finish look a lot easier than it was. It was a nice move. Ultimately, sort of coming down to Trossard down the left, and again a nice. Perfect cross, like a bit like Burnley. Perfect cross by Trossard. Okay, granted that the Slavia Prague defenders were asleep and Merino found himself in acres of space, but he took it left-footed near post, whereas normally you would see players take it right-footed and go to the far post. But I thought it was an exceptional finish and one he made to look very easy.
Yeah, he always takes those well, doesn't he? He's got a lovely volley on him.
Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. And then Trossard again. Trossard again. Ale. This season, who would have thought the impact he's having this season? I mean, his whole Arsenal career, he's had a massive impact, and we've got great value out of him. But this season, thoughts are, let's get rid of him. We don't need him anymore. He's there was the complaining about his contract bump and all the rest of it. But he's turning out the numbers this season. And so, fantastic player to have. He is a very good player. The things I wrote down here is, but are you ever excited to see him play or start? Which I feel
absolutely
which I feel really harsh about. I feel really
it's a luxury, but it's a luxury of the quality of our team that you get to moan about him and Martinelli largely. It's kind of the way that I always thought about the Martinelli and Trossard moans that we had last season. I'll partake in them.
But given his output,
he's a frustrating footballer. He is I know, but look at some of the games this season. He went and scored and assisted in a game where he was absolutely gashed for about an hour.
Yeah, but who cares?
He is that player. Then there's other days where you're like, oh God, he's properly going at this event. He's looking really good, and I think he's a very talented footballer. I think he is a bit frustrating at times because he hasn't got that real elite consistency and ability to dominate a game. And the thing is, when you've got one on the other side that consistently does that, it's hard for both him and Martinelli at times because of the comparison. But he's very influential.
But binary, Trossard's numbers are better than Saka's this year. I'm guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing.
But they're not, are they? Because what you're not doing, if you had some kind of like PFF style breakdown of this, PFF being an American site that I pay too much money to look at the data of, and you had what's he playing against? It's like looking at a wide receiver against single coverage versus double coverage. It's the same for these wingers, right? Trossard is never in double bloody coverage. Nobody's going, we need to lock down Leo Trossard.
Well, maybe they should.
Saka also is in the team. Well, maybe they should, but he enjoys a lot of freedom as a result of that, right? I'm not slagging it. Leo is a very good footballer. He's genuinely been since he joined a joy to watch at times. But I'm just saying, I think the reason for that is literally it's the luxury of having world class or at least elite as they want to call it now, whatever you want to say. The quality of player in most positions is so great, and the consistency and influence is so there, that we end up moaning about the players in the position of striker and left wing because they don't have somebody that is quite of that, dominance and ability to. You don't know what you're going to get in each game sometimes with those lads.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's all it is.
Yeah, my answer to that was also, I don't get excited when I see him playing, and I find it really tough given his output, given what he's offered, given what he cost, given the value to the team. Scoring goals against Tottenham, scoring goals. I think was it Bayern Munich last year? Just scoring goal against Porto. Big important goals, and I think this year he's also sort of helping better defensively. He's such a great player to have, but I don't think anyone you can't hide that feeling that if he starts or plays, you're not excited by it. You'll think, I wish we had someone else playing in there. That was a bit more exciting. And
he's underappreciated, right? But so are the. I just think a lot of teams are going to have, and you almost need a few of them, right? Because you can't have nobody really as epic in every single place. But it was the Guti of Real Madrid. It's that sort of player, and sometimes they're just consistent but never elite. Sometimes like Trossard, they have games where they just absolutely stonks. Yeah. And then at the same time they're inconsistent. Yeah. But either way, there are a few of them. But he is underappreciated. Yeah. I think he's a cracking player, and he would start for a huge number of Premier League football clubs. But
absolutely,
it doesn't. The stats don't change my opinion. He's a very, very good player who unfortunately doesn't quite have that tiny little bit of extra quality that says, this game is mine all the time. Yeah. He hasn't got that Saka thing where he imposes himself upon a game. And as such, because his games then become like a collection of moments, sometimes it's a collection of great moments and sometimes it's a collection of, pretty shite ones. But even within the collection of shite ones, he can have a couple of great moments because he is that. He's like a moments player.
It's just an interesting juxtaposition. That's why I just thought it's just an interesting thought. So look, and then 68th minute, game over, and I think it was nice to get the third goal. Recently, we've got either one or two. Getting that third goal means we can then do subs like Dowman, like White, like MLS coming on. So, again, it was a Rice cross sort of from the centre of the Slavia Prague half to the edge of the 6-yard box. Merino goes up for it, as he does. Goalkeeper, I have no idea what he's doing, tries to come out for it.
Did you forget he's got arms? It was really weird. It wasn't even the way that he came, like, he didn't come strong enough or anything. He seemed to not raise his arms to go for it. It was like he was trying to head it. Also, it was really strange. And really odd.
I don't know what the defender was doing. He wasn't challenging properly, and it sort of just bounced backwards off Merino's heading in. And again, another headed goal. I saw somewhere that it was registered as a set piece goal, but there was 26 seconds between the free kick and Rice then crossing the ball. So I'm not too I'm not too sure about that one. So I'm not going to get beaten on that stick. But apparently,
I think it just sums up, like, you just can't have goalkeepers that look like he does. You know what I mean? Like, he was proper pretty when he Markovic, and it's like you can't have pretty goalkeepers. That's not the position where it's like centre halves as well. You can't really have. That's why Calafiori's got to play left back, isn't it? You can't have pretty centre halves. I mean, actually, you've got Saliba as well. In fairness, he's a bit of a dish, isn't he? But like either way, he's too pretty for goalkeeper. I think certainly is flowing out.
I think Ben might want to have a word before he turned into a right back. But...
Well, again, he turned out into being a right back, didn't he?
There you go. And that was because when he came in, Arteta, you're too good looking for centre back. You're going right back. There you go.
Yeah, you got far too much false tan on, mate. Yeah. Off you go.
Anyway, so look, 3-0. I mean, the game was over at 1-0, 2-0. So, but I think then that meant that we had the opportunity to bring on Dowman, to bring on Haramun Anous to take off Timber, Hincapié, Trossard. So all good. I mean, Dowman came on, did Dowman things. He got kicked a lot. Tried to take on players. But yeah, not much. Yeah, it was just winding down the game, saving yourself, and all the rest of it. So that's game over. 4 wins in 4 in Europe. 11 goals scored, none conceded, and yeah, superb. And I think before we sort of get on to the 3-word reviews on Sunderland, I think also a shout out, I think, to Rice, just in general. So look, we saw how he avoided the yellow card, so that shows a level of maturity, but also who he's turned into. So we signed him, and people were expecting, he's going to be our number 6. He's going to be the one shielding the defence and there. But he's really turned into something different, and his output and contribution sort of going forward is incredible. And he was like our main ball progressor from midfield, the main, attacking threat from the centre of the park on the ball, and just his ability on the ball. So we brought him in as number 6, but actually and we didn't think he was going to be a creator as such, but he's created more goals from set pieces than any other player in the top 5 in European leagues. Now, I'm not sure about the parameters of that, but irrespective, it just shows the value and how much he's worked on that area of the game. Because I think we all remember, I think it was Crystal Palace last year before 5-0, after an international break. Declan Rice has taken the corner. Wonder why? And we haven't looked back since. So I don't know if someone saw something in that time ages ago or in training, but he's there. And another stat is like, Declan Rice now has as many Premier League and Champions League assists since joining Arsenal as Martin Odegaard on 22. He's also 3 behind Bukayo Saka. Now he's had more minutes than Odegaard, but still, just who he's turned out to be compared to who we thought we were getting is incredible. And he's, again, you're talking about players of the seasons all the time, and we're now full of these players that could potentially be, and he's having his moment at the moment. Saw against Burnley yesterday. Again, I think it was the sort of, Merino gets the plaudits for the goals, but I think we don't get that performance without Declan Rice. So yeah, and I know you're a big fan of Decky Rice. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love, in the notes that you've got here, the James Benge tweet. I absolutely adore the kind of talking about his goals and assists in the Premier League and UCL assists being close to those of Odegaard and Saka, admittedly on a lot more minutes. But yeah, he has developed into a fantastic footballer. And to be fair, we were told this. David Moyes went on for ages. Whenever he was asked about Declan Rice, always said he's going to be an 8. He's going to be an 8. He just needs to improve. I keep telling him he needs to make himself more available in the final third, and he needs to take on more. He needs to be braver. I suppose as well, we also know Mikel Arteta and David Moyes are very pally, and would have been talking about that, no doubt. But it's he has made that development, and I think a lot of that probably is mentality for him, because the ability, the clean striking, the powerful running, all that was always there and always evident at West Ham. He just didn't necessarily have the bravery and quite often the opportunity. It's very different coming to a club where you're dominating the ball so much, right? And he's fair play to him. He stepped up, and for me, he's a huge part of this team, and he's such a leader. It's kind of amazing that he very rarely ever wears the armband in it. When you got Saka there, tends to wear it in the absence of Odegaard, or or it goes to the back or whatever. But he's absolutely an ancillary captain, right? He is one of our huge leaders on that football pitch. So yeah, just absolutely super. It's always nice to take a bit of time out for Declan Rice, even when it is just that he's slain Slavia Prague.
Yeah, I mean,
been part of it.
Yeah, I think again,
and not picked up a booking as you
No,
celebrated for earlier, which is like the greatest achievement of all time.
That is absolutely nuts how he did that. But yeah, I think that's one of my favorite match day stats of all time. So look, we were temporarily top of 2 leagues for a while, until Bayern Munich went to France and went to Paris and dispatched with PSG. And Liverpool scored a set-piece goal to win a Champions League game, and apparently that one counted. Back to the Bayern game. Diaz got sent off, which means he doesn't play against us. So we played Bayern Munich in the next round, and actually that's going to be a look. We'll do a proper preview of that, but that's going to be an interesting one, because I think it's going to be tasty, but also potentially inconsequential. And given Spurs and Chelsea either side, it'll be interesting to see how we approach that. But I think the two best teams in Europe facing off each other. That's going to be interesting. And I said Liverpool won. But again, from a set piece, and Tottenham are back apparently after beating 33rd placed Copenhagen. So let's see what happens in the future rounds. But looking good. Looking good for our Champions League top 8 qualification. So there we go. Right, on to your 3-word reviews, and I'm just gonna pick some of these up. I'm just trying to find them on the socials. Go on.
Can I update mine?
Go on then. What's your 3-word review now?
Sauce and bits.
Sauce and bits. Are we talking about football? Okay, no problem. Okay, sauce and bits. That's good. There we go. And I'll allow your prediction. So you did predict it correctly, even though you did come in 4 minutes over time. I'll let your 3-0 prediction stand. So on X, we had David Seeger, Gunnar Dave 66 said business as usual. We had Claire on Blue Sky, Claire K. Claire saying clean sheet monsters. We are indeed. And then I'm just trying to find the ones on Threads. We had Tima Kinter saying super dependable Merino. And then Devoted Pavement. What a great name. Just getting started. Bio Dunyai said we did it. Sam 13 draws, job done again. This one's akin with you. Leg Puppy said I was out. So there you go. That's that one is similar to yours. And then if we come to the Grove, fellow Grovers, we had Matt Stacey, obviously quite good. Duncan, shot on target. Yeah, see, there's the angst about letting us get a shot on target. Sasha, big fan of MM9. And I think I'm going to nick this one for the show title. Merino, Czechmates, Prague. I like that one. So, and Czech being CZECH, if you didn't need that spelling out. And for me, my one was a tongue-in-cheek, I love VAR. So there we go. Cool. All right. So that's that. Okay. So now we're going to move on to Sunderland away at the weekend, and got a short segment coming up with Andy Ioannousis, who's a friend of mine, running partner, and a Sunderland fan. And we had a bit of a discussion on Sunderland's performances this year, what he thinks of Arsenal, and how he thinks the game's going to go. So hopefully you enjoy that. And then after that, we'll get back to Jamie and myself and our little preview of Sunderland away Saturday 5:30. So enjoy. Welcome to the Grove Podcast. Andy, you knew this, who, despite being a Sunderland fan, is a massive fan of the Grove Podcast. Not sure why, but he is a long-time listener and sufferer. Andy, how are you? Are you ready for the big showdown in Athens this weekend?
Hey, Tabs. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Very good. Thank you for having me on. I am ready for Athens in all ways. Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it.
So for those that don't know, myself and Andy are sort of runners, and we're going to do the Athens Marathon this weekend. But the big showdown is that we'll be watching Arsenal Sunderland together. We haven't quite worked out where. Either might look up Arsenal Hellas. I'm not sure if there's a Sunderland Hellas in Athens. Otherwise, it's going to be a dodgy fire stick in a hotel room. So we'll see. But and then after that, we'll be partaking in a bit of a run on Sunday, and there we go. So bit of a fun week ahead planned, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Sunderland, and so far this season, so far so good. I think amazingly good. They're sitting fourth in the league, having played 10, won 5, drawn 3, lost 2, scored 12, let in 8, so a +4 goal difference. They're only behind Liverpool on goals scored, I believe, because we're tied with them on 18. Unbeaten at home. Some decent results. The biggest one obviously is Chelsea away. But also, they've lost to Burnley. But in essence, pretty good. So, Andy, what's the vibe around Sunderland this season? Are the fans dreaming of Europe, or just enjoying the ride, or what are your objectives for the season?
Well, I think that'd be quite nice. I really enjoyed listening to you say that. All of those stats. You don't need to mention Burnley, but thanks.
Bring you back down to earth.
Yeah, quite. I think just the general vibe, I think, is everybody's enjoying the ride. To say that we've exceeded expectations would be a huge understatement. I think coming up, we were all. I certainly was. I guess we haven't been in the Prem for 8 years. Very worried about the step up from where we were to where we were going. And yeah, I think it's gone way, way better than anyone could have expected to date. I think in terms of objectives, it probably depends if you're glass half full or not. I am a Sunderland pessimist through and through, been burnt so many times, still have, even though we've obviously had a great start, still have an element of Premier League imposter syndrome. So I am certainly not getting carried away and am counting points rather than position in the table. And I think until we're mathematically safe, I will be looking at how far away we are from the relegation zone. So that's my vibe. There's a lot of people who are much more upbeat than me, but I'm just a bit, handbrakes on all the time.
Is it all about the 40 points or whatever it is these days? It might even be 35 or whatever. I'm sure you've been doing you've been studying the relegation stats over the last few years to work out, right, what's the bare minimum we need to survive?
Yeah, it's not 40 anymore, but I think let's just go for the round number of 40. If we can get there, the sooner we get there, the better. Okay. For me, that's what it's all about. But then, there's a lot of people who are much more optimistic than I am. I think our owner chairman was on the Monday Night Football, Louis Dreyfus, and he was, I think, implying we were aiming for a top half finish and we're going to spend some more money in January. So, I mean, that's all great and it's great, but I'm just let's carry on.
Well, what he said is we are preparing for all scenarios, but hopefully we will be going into the January window with a top 10 finish in mind, and we will prepare and execute the transfer window to give us the best chance. Don't say I'm not prepared for these things. There we go.
I know you're prepared. You've done a lot more homework than I am. I mean, that's incredible. Hearing him say that is just like, okay. So we're in a great spot.
Good spot. And would you be looking at someone like Brentford, who I'm very familiar with in terms of how they've managed their journey in inverted commas into the Premiership, and in the Premiership, sort of buying sensibly, buying young, maybe doing some really good scouting. I think that, when we talk about transfers, and this is it, like, what has changed from being promoted in the championships via the playoffs, a last minute goal against Sheffield United, and say, sliding doors, look at them now, bottom of the championship, and you're fourth in the Prem. And us and our WhatsApp group, like, we were just every week it was, Sunderland have signed another player, Sunderland, trying to, and then Arsenal signed someone, then Sunderland signed. I mean, between the two of us, I think we signed a whole brand new squad, let alone team. So yeah, I mean, what's the sort of the model, and the sort of who can you aspire to sort of look at and say, like, if we follow what they've done, buy young, scout well, consolidate. Yeah. Do you think there's a chance of Sunderland doing that?
Well, I mean, so since the ownership group's been in, which is 4 or 5 years, that they changed the model of the club, or they I guess, implemented a philosophy and a model, and that model was basically buy young, develop and sell. So when they bought the club, we were in League One. We started. We went, the transfer policy changed entirely. We went from signing, players that had played in League One and were kind of League One plodders or lower championship plodders to buying. Like, it's maybe not the right example, but Will Grigg, he was the person we went and signed when we needed a striker. Then when the new ownership came in, not new now, but when the ownership came in, they brought in a director of football, what is known as sporting director, and basically just changed the structure of the club, brought in a head coach. So it was all about the sporting director, the scouting, etc., etc. And anyway, to get to it, started picking up players, young players from Europe or from Premier League academies, kids who were good but weren't going to make it into Spurs' first team, as an example. Sorry, that was an example. I was thinking like Dennis Serkin, who we picked up from Spurs' academy, came and played for us in League One. He plays for us in the Premier League.
Or someone like a Dingra from Brighton. I mean, that seems to be like, he used to be an exciting prospect. And
yeah, but I guess so. Before we made the move into the Prem, our approach was we're picking up young kids who've got a lot of promise, who haven't quite made it, or people who need a second chance, like Jack Clark, who bounced around, still young. Patrick Roberts bounced around loads, so gave them a home, invested in them, played them loads, and then it feels like as well, when the time's right for us and for them, we let them go. So Jack Clark, we let him go. Bellingham, everyone knew was going to go in the summer. Yeah, didn't stand in his way. Let him go. Got a load of money for him, and then I guess that sparked the new approach to signing. So in the summer, I guess what we were all expecting, or certainly a lot of people were expecting, based on what we've done the last 3 or 4 years, was that we wouldn't spend stacks of money. We would bring some experience in to support the team that we got promoted with. But then in the summer, it just went mad.
Just went mental, didn't it?
Absolutely mad. So signed, I think 15 players, 160 million or something. It was just bonkers. Like I say, felt like every week, like, who was that? What? It's just a new player, someone you haven't heard of. We're signing from a team who are in the Champions League, but like whoever, Bruges and whoever else are not like top end teams, obviously, but just mad.
Yeah. Do you feel sorry though for those that took you to the Premiership? Because if you're buying 15 new players, that is almost a new team, new squad, and look, needs master club's got to do. But do you feel a bit sorry for the ones that got you there, or is there an element of that? A bit. It would be nice to see, the team carry on a bit versus we're a whole new team compared to last year. Or can you relate to this team compared to last year?
Well, I think to answer you, the first part, definitely. When we went up, that team that got us promoted, there's actually one of the great things about the club at the moment is that there is like a kind of, I want to say a bond is maybe not the right word, but the club are as close to the fans as they have been for years and years. And the team, that the way that we went up last season, just, the spirit of the team and the kind of connection with the fans, a lot of us, we were expecting a lot of those players to be playing in the Premier League. And there is definitely a bit of, what's the right word? Sympathy is maybe not the right word, but certainly we were expecting Dan Neil, who was our captain last year, to be playing in the Premier League. Patterson, the keeper, a local lad, we expected him to play in the Premier League. And a load of others. Whereas now there's 3 or 4 that played last season who are playing regularly, and most of the others have not had a sniff. So, yeah, there is definitely a bit of, a bit of sentimentality. It would be really nice to see Dan Neil playing every week in the Premier League. Chris Rigg played loads last season, barely played this year. So on the one hand, definitely a bit sad that they're not there, but then actually go back to the stats you reeled off at the start, and you see how much we've changed and how, definitely justified, and how kind of how well we're doing and how good the players that we brought are. Kind of makes you think, you know what? If we hadn't have done this, I suspect we'd be having a very different conversation.
Yeah, and one of those changes that came in is an Arsenal fan favourite, Granit Xhaka, who's now your captain. Does that feel weird that he won an invincible championship in Germany? He was obviously part of Arsenal's an Arsenal team that I think won a few FA Cups or whatever. I don't know what his record is, but obviously a team that's played in Champions League. He's captained Switzerland in World Cups and stuff like that. And how was that? Were you happy about that signing? How was that received? It seems to have turned out well, but you'd never know. Or were you thinking, everyone's, I don't know, I think everyone's seen that video where he wasn't actually sure about anything about Sunderland and he answered it very just sort of generic answer. I don't know if you've seen the video of him answering about it, but there's a funny one that, he was just answering very blandly because he looked like he had no clue. But anyway, how's he be received, in I was going to say Wearside, Tearside.
Wearside.
Wearside. Sorry.
You're right, first time. So there was a lot of excitement, I think, and hype when he joined. Certainly out of all of the summer signings, by a long stretch, the most hype and the most excitement, mainly because a lot of those players that we bought, no one, very few of them actually anyone had really ever heard of. So there was a lot of hype, and I think my feeling at the time was, what's the catch? Is he knackered?
Why has he left Germany?
Exactly.
Why has he left that team?
Why is he? He seemed to want to join Sunderland. What's the catch? Well, mate,
there's the answer. Ten Hag, that's your answer.
Thank you. If that was it. So I, at the time, was a bit sceptical, and to be honest, I wasn't as excited as some. And I think in hindsight, it was probably underhyped.
What's he brought to the team other than his pace?
Well, he's the box nature. He's brought a lot of pointing. Yeah, he's very good at that. I think generally he seems to around the club. He's come in. They made him captain whilst our previous captain was still in the building. So a pretty big statement of intent from the club's perspective. He seems to have bought into the club, entirely. He may not know much about it, but
he does now.
I think our under-21s played Anderlecht last week, and he was there. Brilliant. And he's watching, and he's, from what I gather, on hand for the under-21s, for the coaching staff, the under-21s coaching staff, just passing on his experience and generally being a good club man. So I think there's that side of it. I think there's been nothing formal, but there's a feeling that he's approaching the end of his career, whether he's come in and there's a thinking about transition to coaching, but he is our leader on the pitch. He is our leader from a playing perspective. And I guess what he's brought on the pitch is experience. We brought a load of new players, none of them, very few have played in the Premier League. He obviously has. So that experience, he does seem to have an awful lot of time. He's a good player. So all of that stuff, plus he's still very good.
So he stands out amongst the team. Just his sort of, he's like quite a calm player on the ball. Sort of, I guess, dictating play. I mean, actually, what position does he play? I mean, what is his role at? What is the position he plays?
Well, we started playing we started the season playing 4-3-3, and he was positioned in there centrally, and he had two guys with him, Siddiqui and Diarra, who have got legs and wheels, and they just run and run. And he was sitting as a bit of a pivot, as a six, and just playing. We've now switched, when we played Chelsea, we switched to 5 at the back, 5-4-1, basically. Mm-hmm. So he's playing as one of two. And in the Chelsea game, he was actually pressing quite high.
Wow.
And he made a couple of runs from deep into the box. So he's now, I mean, at the weekend, on Monday night, he's playing as an orthodox old-fashioned centre midfielder, one of two. Okay. He's still in there with someone who's got loads of pace, loads of energy.
Well, you need that, and also, was that his first goal of the season, the one he scored against Everton?
If we're giving it to him, then yes, it was. Yeah.
Is it not being given to him?
No, it is,
I think it is. It was on target, going towards goal. It's just if you deflect it over the goalkeeper, that's not an own goal. I don't think so. So that was his goal of the season, as first goal of the season as well. So, interesting what he's brought it down, because unfortunately, all I can remember of him this year at Sunderland is him chasing back and not against Burnley for the second goal. So that's like, is that what he's bringing to the? Is that how he is? Because he unfortunately doesn't. He's never been blessed with pace. Going forward,
he certainly hasn't developed pace. That doesn't happen, does it? As we well know. So he's not got that, and he needs to build.
And what about his tackling and his discipline? Because again, there was at Arsenal, it was always if Granit Xhaka did that, there'd be a red card or a yellow card. He always seemed to be on the receiving end. I'll get the harshest possible punishment for anything. How's he faring from that perspective?
I think he's certainly had I think he's had a couple of bookings, maybe 3. You probably know, but I think now. Well, if you watch the game on Monday night, he was. He's not shy to put a tackle in, but. No. He's very, he was the peacemaker in all of any kind of sparks in the game. Yeah. He was in calming people down, whether they were Sunderland or Everton. Whenever there was Grealish got smashed by Hume, he's there picking Grealish up, putting his arm around, playing the nice guy. Yeah. So I don't know whether there's been an intentional switch in his behaviour to try and avoid just petty yellows. But I mean, you can see there's a few in our team. You can see there's the spark is there, and I'm sure it will come at some point.
I did watch the game on Monday, doing my homework, and initially I thought, wow, those are a couple of red card challenges. When you see them on replay, okay, not so bad, but there was a lot of robust challenges going. Firm and fair with a very small f, I would suggest, and again, I think it's around Granit Xhaka. A lot of it was narrative around Arsenal and who we were, and he was just a consequence. He was like the lightning rod for that and stuff like that. So I think what he's doing now has always been his nature. Okay, maybe there was a couple of times where maybe he was a bit hot-headed, but nothing worse than other people. And it's just, when someone gets a reputation, deserved or not, then that goes with them. And it's just, just an unfortunate thing. So, and just talking of narratives, and I do like hearing, fans' perspectives of Arsenal. So, I just wanted to, before we get onto the game itself, I just wanted to get your Sunderland's fans' perspective of Arsenal. There's a lot of narratives around us at the moment, like we're set piece FC, we're ruining the game, we're too defensive. now a lot of that is online trolling or certain media outlets and certain media people trying to provoke. But what is a Sunderland's fan perception of this? And I know you're not one for the socials, so you're not sort of tainted by that. But what's the sort of discourse amongst the Sunderland fans or you yourself in terms of the perception of Arsenal, at the moment? And go ahead, so, as you call it.
I don't. I'm not on socials. I can't really tell you what the discourse is around Arsenal from Sunderland fans. Yeah. And I, for my sins, I watch every Sunderland game. I don't watch every Premier League game. So
no.
My perception of Arsenal is they're very good. They're very strong. They're, very good at what they do. They're a really good team. And I know everyone knows about set pieces. But why wouldn't you? It just feels you have bent my ear about this quite a lot. and I know how much you love it, but how much it boils your piss, as you say.
No, well, we're boiling other people's piss, but yes, it does wind me up a little bit. But
it does wind you up a lot. But I think everyone knows you're a very, very strong team.
Okay, fair enough. So look, as to the game itself, so again, 5:30 kickoff Saturday evening on TV. What are your expectations from the game? Do you see it as a free hit or a statement opportunity or just another game in the Premiership? How do you see Sunderland approaching this?
I think out of those, it is definitely in the free hit category. You'll be comfortably the toughest game we've had so far this season. Obviously, given your position and the fact you haven't conceded a goal ever. Is that right? Did I hear that right?
Yeah, ever. I think it's now 8 games without conceding a goal, 12 hours and X amount of minutes. So something like that. Since your close friends in the Northeast scored against us.
Oh God. I think definitely free hit category. It'll be our toughest game, and the first time we've had we've played at United and at Chelsea, so I know they're not at the same level as you at the moment, but big games away from home. You're the first kind of big team to come to the stadium at 5:30 kickoff. Everyone will have been in the pub all afternoon, so I expect the atmosphere will be good as long as the team are putting on some form of a good show, whatever that might be. I think definitely a free hit.
And I do think, you're right. Having that 5:30 kickoff, people will be well oiled, and you'll want to say, "Hey, you come to Sunderland, first big team there." You'll have that intimidating atmosphere. You'll have your tifos out, and you'll want to sort of, and this is like in terms of. You won't have seen the game yesterday, so we were playing Slavia Prague away, and it's I'd say maybe a similar sized club and stadium, all the rest of it, and also it was a very sort of physical game with people who can run a lot, like the first 20 minutes, it was like let them know you're there, football cliches, and you got 20 minutes, get in there, run around, get in their faces, don't give them a minute, don't let them breathe, type stuff. That's what I'm expecting from them. So which players should we, which players should we be fearful of? How are you gonna try and hurt Arsenal? How are you gonna approach it, and who are going to be the ones that we need to watch out for?
Well, I think in terms of how we'll approach it, since Reggie LeBroux's been there, he doesn't mind a low block even at home. Didn't mind that in the Championship. Even at home at times. So I don't think you'll see us being particularly expansive. If you saw us against Everton, which you did, our first 25 minutes was the opposite of what Slavia Prague might have done. We just opened the door and let them do what they wanted. So I would hope that we'll start a little better than that. I think if we don't, it will be over. So I think most likely we're going to set up the same way, 5-4-1, which kind of morphs broadly into a 4-3-3 if we attack. Most likely an unchanged team, I think, but you wouldn't be surprised. He has it in his locker to change things up when unexpected. So we'll see. And I think we'll try and. I think on the whole we'll be sitting in low block, 2 banks of 4, or maybe 1 of 5 and 1 of 4.
5 foot, it would be a 5 and a 5 basically.
Yeah, and the other one just in front of that, and look to play on the break and play off. These like set pieces seem to be a thing at the moment, don't they? So I think we'll have a go at that as well.
Okay.
Who should you be worried about? Well, if
apart from Granit Xhaka getting the narrative goal, he's going to be. It's going to be Granit Xhaka who's going to break our record
by
scoring against us.
I think it'll be a Xhaka cross and a big Dan Ballard header.
I'll go the Arsenal connection.
If Arsenal are anything like Sunderland, then that's the way it goes. Your old players come back to haunt you. So I think, it's got to be those two. Now, I think who would you be worried about? I think
Isidore. He seems to be your main man up front.
Isidore, I expect will start up front. He's lively. He's
got 4 goals this season.
Yeah, and he can create a little bit out of nothing. He's quick and he's direct and he will shoot. So you never know. But I think the player that gives us probably the most spark going forwards is Enzo Lefebvre, who kind of plays off the left. He's very, really good, quick, good dribbler, good passer, good set pieces. So he's a really good player, and I think he's the one that gives us the most. So I think there's obviously threats all over the place, but that plus our long throw machine, Mukiele, who's on his way to being a cult hero at Sunderland because he's just a bundle of energy.
Nordi Mukiele, who's the poor man's Noni Madueke. just because the name sounds familiar.
Okay, similar, yes. Yeah.
But okay. And what about playing Arsenal? So in terms of what is it that you potentially fear about Arsenal? What worries you about Arsenal? But also, do you feel like you're playing us at a good time due to our injury crisis? And obviously when you compare the squads, there isn't a comparison, and we've got 2 good players in every position, but still we've got Gyökeres out, Havertz out, Odegaard out, Madueke out, Martinelli out, Jesus out. So we're going to be playing our most probably Merino, so up front, who did bag a brace yesterday.
Noted.
Yeah, okay, but it's in Europe. It was Slavia Prague, and he does well in Europe for Spain. In the Premier League, it's a bit different. So we're sort of lacking a bit of pace down the wings. But obviously we still have Saka, we still got Eze, we still got Gabriel, and Trossard and the like. So do you think do you still think, even though it is a good time to play us, and do you think there's a chance because we may not be at full strength?
No, I don't really buy that, to be honest. I know that's quite a long list of players that you're missing, but
good players.
Obviously, but all of your players are good. But I think there's also there's a longer list of players that you could have reeled off that are available and who are all very good. And granted, you are a little light up in terms of centre forwards. You've got 2 and they might both be injured.
Yeah,
but
they are injured.
Merino will do a job. He's shown he's capable of doing a job. So, I don't really buy that. I think, sure, you've got injuries. I'm not sure I'd call it a crisis. I'm not sure you can claim to have an injury crisis and not have conceded a goal ever, and 110 and spin, etc., etc. So I think I don't think you'll find many people claiming this is a good time to play you.
Okay.
Um,
and who do you fear then? Of the players that are fit. So so our lineup is likely to be Raya. Then you've got Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori. Then it'll be Zubimendi, Rice, Eza, and then Saka, Merino, and Trossard. So where do you see our strength taking advantage of your weaknesses?
Well, I think actually the one that I thought I didn't actually realise that he was injured is Martinelli. I thought that he would have been a worry for us because he's quick and direct, and maybe on the side that he plays, there's a little, even though, it feels like we're maybe a little more vulnerable defensively down that side. But so he's not available. I think for me, where I would worry, obviously set pieces. I mean, we've got a few big, competitive, strong defenders or players. So it's not necessarily a weakness of ours, but obviously it is a strength of yours. So that's a concern. But then I don't think there are any. You've got a lot of good players. I love Saka, Eza, Rice, great players. I don't think there are any of those players in particular that we'd be like shivering about. It's the collective, really. I think where I would worry a little bit is in the kind of just those little gaps, where your 8s and 10s might be picking up the ball in the very small gap between our lines.
Yeah,
that's where I would be worried. I don't think you'll be running in behind us very much.
No, not if you're playing with a low block. No.
Yeah. So I think it's probably a bit of a collective amount of quality that we will be worrying about. That it's everywhere.
Okay.
So
we're going to come to your prediction. Before I get there, so we're 10 games unbeaten, not conceded in the last 8. We've only had 2 or 3 shots on target in the last 4 or 5 games. Sunderland haven't beaten us since 2010. I think it was about 2010, 2012 maybe. So what's your prediction?
Well, I think everything points towards a home win, and probably a pretty comfortable one, really. I think I'm expecting lots of goals. No, I think when I knew you were going to ask me for my prediction, I wrote down 4-0 to Sunderland, mainly because I can't bring myself to say that we're going to lose. But I think if we come out of the game with anything other than a defeat, it will be a huge result for us, as it would for most teams playing you at the moment. Certainly for us, I think if we were to find a way to sneak a draw, that would be incredible. But I don't see it, unfortunately. So my prediction would be yes. There you go.
No, I get it. No one's predicted. I don't think a draw is out of the realms of possibility. Our run has to come to an end at some point. You don't continue. Well, it doesn't have to, but you just think there's maybe eventually it does, and eventually it will. So and I said the crowd will be up for it. I said it's that first 20 minutes is going to be really important. The thing is, the way what's happened to us in recent games is we've been slow starters as such. But after the 20-minute mark, then we're suddenly back into it, and then we suddenly start to suffocate, and we start to build momentum. We get a set-piece goal. We just keep hold of the ball. We dominate, get another goal. Thank you very much. Good night. Sort of stuff. So it seems to be the way we've been playing at the moment. So I think those first 20 minutes are really important for Sunderland. The thing is, we're not intimidated anymore. We're not like the team of Wenger with our 5'0" or tippy-tappy players. You look at our team with Gabriel, with Saliba, Timber, Rice. Merino's big. So we're Calafiori. We're a team of, we don't get easily intimidated, and we don't get rattled. This year, in terms of we're bottom or top of the fair play league, whichever way you want to put it. So we're not one for getting involved with with too much and so on. So I think Sunderland, it's all down to that first 20 minutes. Make most of the crowd, make most of that momentum. See if you can strike early, and then we don't know what we're going to be like. I mean, you're right. Everything leads to we should be winning, even if we do go down. We should be winning this game. And the big thing for us this weekend is that Liverpool play Man City this weekend. So depending on how that goes, we can potentially go 10 points ahead. And now look, still a long way to go, but there's that incentive. And so for me, we need to just go in, be professional, get the job done, get out, get into the international break, get players back fit, and we go again after that. So our mentality is that there's an opportunity for us to make a big thing. So it's that professionalism versus your enthusiasm, and try not to patronize as much as possible. I promised I wouldn't. So I think it'll be something like that.
Yeah, it's funny because we were looking at the fixtures as well, and knowing that one or both of those teams are going to drop points, it gives us a chance to really solidify our place in the top four.
Exactly. There you go. Well said. So there may be a draw for both of us and a draw for them, and it's status quo. No, but no, we need to win it. Yeah, nothing for Arsenal. I think nothing but a win will be. But then let's see how the game goes. Football's stupid. Football has a way of making stories. Luckily, we've avoided those stories this season, and we are the story. And we've gone to grounds where teams have been unbeaten, where the crowd's really partisan, and we've managed to nullify that. So yeah, I think, as I said, we just need to go in and be professional and just a forgettable 1-0, 2-0 win. But Sunderland will have their own ideas. So there we go.
May the best team win, or Sunderland.
Well, you hope not. You hope the best team doesn't win.
Yeah.
Well, look, thank you, Andy, for taking your time to join us on the Grove podcast today. Really, really appreciate it. And I will see you Friday morning on the way to Athens.
Pleasure, Tabs. Thanks very much.
No worries. Take care. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you, Andy. And now back to me and Jamie. Okay, so on to Sunderland, 5:30 on Saturday. We play them away. A couple of things. What are you looking forward to and not looking forward to about the game, and what do you think the lineup will be, considering no Gyökeres?
So, I mean, as per usual, former Arsenal link, looking forward to Granit Xhaka. Not looking forward to not watching a great deal of it because, unfortunately, I am at my cousin's wedding reception. So I will be...
Well, fortunately for him, but not for you.
For her, yeah.
For her, sorry.
I will be trying to sneak as many views as it as possibly can. And yeah, this one on the other end, I should be able to watch the full 90 minutes of afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I guess not looking forward to the fact that they're a team in real form at the moment, right? And they look absolutely high on confidence. So this is a challenge. This is going to be a difficult match for us, I think. But you still got to be fairly confident going in against a newly promoted team whose star signing was Granit Xhaka, I think.
And what do you think? How do you think we're going to line up? So again, how we're going to work without Gyökeres? Is it just going to be a simple case of Gyökeres out, Merino in, and back to our Premiership sort of starting 11?
It's Merino or Trossard, isn't it? It's going to be either Merino or Trossard, and I think, I mean, I'd be quite happy. I personally prefer to see Merino there. I think that having that physicality and that player to be able to hold up the ball when necessary. Trossard has had a couple of good games at striker for us, but he's also had a couple where it's just been so detrimental to the makeup of the team because he does not have those fundamental attributes that he needs to be able to contribute in certain phases. So, yeah, I would like to see Merino there personally.
Okay.
Do you know, weirdly, it's the kind of game where, do you know, I'd bloody love to see if everybody was fit. I'd love to see Gabriel Jesus there. I sort of forget do you ever, it's a sidebar, but do you ever forget that he's there?
No, well,
he should be there.
You're right. When you're going through who's injured, he's always last on the list, and you can count who's being injured because he's been injured for over a year now, or whatever, or for nearly a year. So So you sort of forget it.
Havertz, where I think who did we have before Havertz? Between Aubameyang and Havertz,
it was Jesus.
It was Gabriel Jesus, but you just sort of forget.
Yeah, because he everyone goes on. There was that one period before the World Cup, and him and Zinchenko, etc. But since then, he's been almost perma injured, and so you're right. He's not. You do seem to forget about him because he's not really embedding in the psyche, and he hasn't got enough. Well, he's got plenty of tape, so to speak, but it's just so in and out that consistency is there that it's easy to forget. And also, I think you forget about him because you do really trust him to be integrated back into the squad, in the new year when he's fitter, sort of thing. So you sort of out of mind because one, well, he's not been around, and two, do you expect him to be around in the future? So you tend not to think about it. But we'll see. He may play one of these silly cameo roles, and we win a tournament as a result. So who knows?
This was the sort of game though that I absolutely loved him for. You're going away to the northeast against a decent side, but you need a little bit of chaos at times. You need somebody to drink his side, and also his hold-up play actually was excellent. For a small man, he really did that stuff really very well. Knows how to use his body even if there's not that much of it. And that's, anyway, it's just one of those moments where I feel slightly sanguine. I've thought about Gabriel Jesus for the first time in about 6 months. And
it's made you sad.
And I really wish he was in. So in terms of the team, otherwise for me, it's the strongest side. It's Calafiori, it's Timber, it's, where else is even debatable right now? Left wing, either Martinelli or Trossard, because we don't know which one's the stronger.
I think Nelly's injured, so I think it will be Trossard.
It'll be Trossard, unless Eze moves out there, but that would require Nwaneri to play Cam, and at the moment I don't think Nwaneri's anywhere near where he needs to be to start Premier League games against a top 5 opposition, at least in terms of where they sit at the table at the moment. For me, it's pretty much just turn out the same team that beat Burnley, right? Except put Merino in at centre forward.
Okay, yeah. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to another professional performance. Just get the job done. No dramas, no fuss. Go away, get the job done. And actually, I think Slavia Prague was good preparation. I think Sunderland are physical. They're runners. They're well organised. I think their skill levels, and I think they'll be better than Slavia Prague. So we just need to go out there, be professional, get the job done, and that's it. And I'm not looking forward to us not taking advantage of City and Liverpool playing each other. There's an opportunity there to be 10 points ahead of one of those, depending on how that results, and if not 8 points ahead or something like that. So we need to take advantage of that situation to give us an even bigger buffer on top of goal difference. Yeah, this is it. People may think, it's only Sunderland away. No, and you're right. They're performing well at the moment. They're having a moment, but we've been to teams. We went to Burnley away. Hadn't lost since X. We've been to Slavia Prague away. Haven't lost since Y. Sunderland haven't lost this season at home, and we go there, we do a job, and we get out. And again, I hope it's a dull 2-0. Like we've been doing recently, and I'll take that. Just somehow, I don't know. I think everyone's got a feeling about this, but maybe that's just because we haven't had one of those games yet, and so our luck has got to change at some point. We have to concede at some point. So there's always that anxiety there, but maybe again, if we're just professional, and then we get the job done and take advantage of the situation. So, what is your prediction for the game?
I'm going to go with a functional 2-0.
2-0, yeah. That's what I've gone with as well. 2-0, I think, yeah.
It's a very us scoreline right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
2-0. Just like 2-0, exercise some amount of control, score a set piece, and then have something that was about 30 seconds after a set piece. There you go, job done.
Yeah. I wrote down actually the way we're playing at the moment is just there's a bit of a template. I think it said, slowish start, find our feet, score via set piece, suffocate the opposition, dominate, score again, clean sheet, job done, go home. And that seems to be, it's just how many goals we score in between is the difference type thing. But that's us, and let's just do that and repeat it again. We go into the international break, then we get players back hopefully after that, ready for Tottenham, and then we'll have some harder games compared to the recent sort of games that we had, and I think if we go into that 10 points clear. That's a great buffer to have. So
potentially big weekend as well, right? Because it's not the only game that's going on in the north that we want to be aware of, because there's Liverpool at home to City, right?
Yeah,
which is an interesting game. I mean, you'd love to see a draw, but at this point, would you rather see a Liverpool win or a City win? I know what I would have thought start of the season, and now I think the other way around. It's sort of, that's going to be. So whilst I won't get to watch the Arsenal game live all the way through, and I'll be snatching moments with my mobile phone and watching it back when I get back at night. The Sunday game, I will be absolutely glued to my screen for.
Yeah. It's sort of like a real hate watch, but all results are fine. you know. So, but yeah, you're right. A draw would be good, and
just potentially puts one of them out of it. I mean, if one of them loses, if Liverpool lose, they're 10 points behind at that stage on the same number of games. If City lose, they're 9 points behind. That is a real, and it's interesting, isn't it? We will not have to face those consequences for some time, depending on what results look like over a period of time now. But for one of those teams, falling back by 3 wins is a hell of a lot before Crimbo, and it basically rules them out. So
I wouldn't say that
interesting weekend. As long as we win as well, we got. Well,
there's that as well. But yeah, it just makes our life easier, shall we say? It just
I'm not saying we get carried away too much after that necessarily, as much as
I know we're winning a lot
for one team. For one of those two teams, if they do it, to be honest, the draw is the best outcome for us. But for them, a loss is just, I think, would be just crushing. I think particularly for Liverpool, falling 10 points. 10 points, I think, just is there's a thing there right away that just says you're a bit fucked here. But actually, as it happens, I actually think Liverpool are going to win that game, because I think they're a better team in a two teams going at it game. I think that what they specifically can't do is do what we've managed to come to terms with, and it's taken us a year and a half to do, which is teams with a low block.
Yeah, and look, we don't want ill health on anyone, but a few red cards, a couple of long-term niggles wouldn't go amiss.
Bit of a 6-month suspension on Salah for having scythed down Erling Haaland in such a fashion that he also simultaneously is injured for the next 6 months.
Look, as I said, don't want to wish ill health on anyone. However, just put him out for a few months. Let's see how City cope without Haaland, and we'll see. But there we go. That's not in our hands, and let's just do our job, and then the rest will take care of itself. So look, thank you, Jamie, for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
No worries. And look, you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky and The Grove AFC, at The Grove AFC. Next show will be post Sunderland, and then we're international break. Now, I'm sort of travelling this weekend, so I'm not sure when that will be, but we'll see. And as I said at the beginning, if you enjoy what you hear at the Grove Podcast, then please like, subscribe, comment, rate, and all that usual things. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for listening. And as always, until the next time, come on you Gunners.